I used to go to Sainsbury's. I don't go there anymore. It's too expensive. I won't pay their prices. I go to Aldi now. Yeah. I walk around Aldi and I look at everyone in there. I think, look at these people. Failures. Rejects. The bleak irony is they're all looking at me thinking the same thing. Look at this ginger prick. He was on live at the Apollo once.
Andrew Lawrence was cancelled before we even had the phrase cancel culture. His dark, nihilistic brand of comedy propelled him to success in the world of stand-up in the 2000s and 2010s.
Some of you not entirely sure at this early stage whether I'm the actual comedian or whether someone's just let me up here as part of some sort of care in the community scheme.
Then a Facebook post changed everything.
Hello.
Hello, Tom, how are you? You all right? That's Frank.
Good to meet you, Frank. He's had at least 2 more, apparently career-ending controversies since. But with a loyal online following, Andrew has lived to tell the tale.
See a YouTube plaque up on the wall. And...
Oh, yeah, just difficult to know what to do with those things, isn't it?
Yeah. It's either here or the downstairs loo, isn't it? That's the one of the two.
I like to put it just above the bins. There's a lot of very good, very talented comedians doing really good work online, and it's probably where the future lies for comics, isn't it?
Yeah. So Andrew, should we start at the beginning? Did you always want to be a stand-up comedian?
Yeah, I was always into it and fascinated by it. Harry Enfield and the young ones, and then the day-to-day, it's incredible. Time of incredible comedy, actually. I was acting at school, I was in school plays, and I did more of that when I went to university, more acting, and then, I started going to see a lot of stand-up comedy, and I remember going to see, before they were big, Mighty Boosh in a very small, tiny venue in North London. It was an incredible show, and it was very inspiring, and then Sean Locke in Edinburgh, amazing. Beyond that, the people I liked were the US comedians, really, which is a very different sort of comedy, but brilliant heralded comedians, Patrice O'Neill and Dave Chappelle and Louis C.K. and started to think, I've got ideas for this. I feel like I can do this. I entered these national new act competitions and it went well.
I said, Andrew, I've got a new temp job working on reception in a women's clinic where they do abortions. I started laughing. She said, why are you laughing, Andrew? It's not funny. I said, I'm sorry, I just got a picture of you walking in the front doors of the abortion clinic every day. People sitting in the offices across the road saying, there she goes again. She never learns, does she?
I won sort of 3 or 4 other national new act competitions. I got cast in the BBC 3 sitcom Ideal with Johnny Vegas, then live at the Apollo. And
this is very much, in the UK, what success looks like.
My agent says, Andrew, always smile when you walk on stage because you have got quite a scary face. If you don't smile, Andrew, you look like you're going to physically assault someone. I said, well, that is true, but sadly, if I do smile, I look like I'm going to sexually assault someone.
So let's fast forward to 2014.
The money made such a difference. For really run down, horrible little place, and fixed it up. I auditioned for this show, Stand Up for the Week.
Andrew Lawrence!
It was a fairly hostile environment. I wasn't wanted there. And I was touring around, but I was still starting to do this political stuff. And I was watching these panel shows, which I'd done 1 or 2 of them because, I was offered them. I thought, I'll give it a try. And I wrote this Facebook post about how I thought that this kind of pervasive politics in panel shows like Mock the Week was very left-wing and very anti this idea of leaving the European Union. There was all talk of a referendum, but it hadn't happened.
Prime Minister David Cameron said in a speech in London that it's time we're asked to make a decision on Europe.
I talked about immigration in that post and how it had been very damaging and that it caused incredible amount of damage to have these huge numbers of people arriving in a very short period of time.
What the Daily Mail's headline was.
And for people who might not remember, Mock the Week was very kind of synonymous with a sort of Daily Mail bashing, easy punchline, people who like UKIP, which was Nigel Farage's party, are just, racist idiots. This is very much kind of pre-Brexit, and that was what you were inveighing against, this sort of laziness that was creeping into.
Well, I felt that it was out of touch with public opinion. I felt like it was detached from the reality of people's lives, and that at the time that was sort of unthinkable thing to say, whereas now of course it's sort of mainstream. You can write a list of all the political opinions you're allowed to express, and if you say that on stage within a certain bubble, that's going to both help you in your career and maybe make up for any deficiencies where you might be lacking in terms of jokes.
What are you, Andrew? Are you pansexual? Are you non-binary? Are you gender fluid? Not only am I none of those things, I don't believe anyone else is either.
Which sort of brings us on to the sort of second dimension of that Facebook post, I suppose, which was taking up this issue, which was quite controversial at the time, which was BBC and other broadcasters quite explicitly having quotas for women, ethnic minorities, etc.
Yeah.
That also really got you in the shit, almost as much as the UKIP stuff. It seems like your point was not that ethnic minority comedians or women comedians that they're incapable of doing the job. It's just that because of these quotas and so on, people were being given opportunities they weren't ready for. Merit was going out the window.
If I do have a support act, I always hire a female support act. Not because of equality, just because I feel like it gives the audience a chance to go to the bar.
This whole thing, they've labelled DEI, diversity and inclusivity, incredibly divisive. What could be more racist and sexist than discriminating against people based on their gender and ethnicity when handing out opportunities? Now, the people who are engaged in that put up various arguments about, oh no, the sexism and racism doesn't count if it's in this direction, but it's a fairly weak argument, isn't it? And of course, if you're one of those people who's benefiting from that, you're not going to say, well, actually, I haven't earned this. You're going to like, yes, please, yeah.
So you post this. There's a comedy website in the UK called Chortle who latch onto it in a big way. It then gets picked up by the Nationals, the independent newspaper.
Yeah.
What happens next? Suddenly
these venues, oh no, we can't book him because, he doesn't reflect our values. It was all right last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that. You were perfectly happy to make money from me. I think the TV side of things that was going to be a closed shop forever because there was a very specific political culture there that once you've transgressed, that's it, you're done. Politically, if you've transgressed in other ways, it seems like there's always a way back.
Go all the woke places doing gigs. I've been to all the woke places doing gigs. I've been more places I wasn't welcome than Russell Brand's penis.
Big sort of TV comics earn like really diabolical amounts of money from touring. It's great. It's lovely to have that money, but it's a gilded cage because I know some of them that's not the comedy they started doing, and it's not really what they want to be doing.
You were already saying there that you'd suffered this initial cancellation. You had been blacklisted. The TV work is sort of out of the equation now, but you're starting to build things back up.
I'd come in too early and then people caught up a few months before COVID. That was a hate speech tour, I'd called it, and it was selling incredible numbers, far better than I'd ever sold before. And I was getting really excited thinking, oh, wow, this is blowing up. This is obviously hitting a nerve and resonating with people.
Some of you not sure about that one, that's fine. Some here looking at me like I'm Sam Smith at a children's birthday party.
Obviously, the pandemic comes into play, which completely shutters the whole comedy industry. But I understand that's when yourself and many others start to get online and start to make videos and so on.
Listen, I'm really looking forward to this second lockdown that it looks like we're about to have. The first lockdown was so valuable. Personally, it gave me the space I needed to grow spiritually. When COVID started, I started filming videos and they started doing quite well.
Hello, I'm Jim. I'm John. I'm Jeff. I'm Jibbity Bibbity Boo Ba Clacka Choo Choo. No, that's not it, goddammit. Come on, man. I'm Joe. I'm Joe Dies Soon.
I managed to people support me on Patreon. Many of you will be aware of reports of a largely peaceful mass stabbing in Forbury Gardens, Reading yesterday. The suspect is a Libyan gentleman who peacefully stabbed a number of white people in what was in no way a racially motivated act. This is new. Wow, wish this had been around 15 years ago. So I was making good money doing that. As long as I've got enough to put food on the table for my daughter and for her to do all the things she needs to do, then that's all I need.
So things are kind of picking back up again. You found an audience, or you can continue to reach your audience even with the pandemic. Then the Euros 2021 controversy rolls around. The England team had become very clearly kind of presented in our national discourse as kind of a great symbol of diversity. There's always been a lot of black players in the England team, certainly for recent decades, but suddenly people had noticed and wanted to make a lot of a song and dance about it. Partly because of 2020 and George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. They get to the final, goes down to penalties, which is always fraught for an England team. And incidentally, a couple of the players who missed their penalties were some of the black or mixed race players. So you hop on social media.
I tweeted, all I'm saying is the white guy scored. That's...
You can understand why people might look on that and think,
oh, sure.
What's he trying to say here, other than the obvious or the literal?
There's this sort of collective insanity, isn't there, around this George Floyd thing, this BLM movement. George Floyd! In America and the United States, there's such a sort of a difficult history with police and such a recent history of segregation. You can understand what was happening with that, but in Britain, the cultural situation is not the same, and things were fantastic for so long in the, in the 90s and the early 2000s. No problems at all. Suddenly this Euros tournament, every match they're taking the knee for BLM. Every advertising break, the big message on the screen: hate won't win.
Hate won't win.
Black Lives Matter. Well, of course they do. Of course it won't. This is a completely separate continent, a completely separate country. But clearly you're trying to stir something up and trying to create conflict and division where there is none. And the England manager, in a tournament framed by racial politics, decided he was going to pick two white footballers to take penalties and then a mixture of black and mixed race players to take penalties after that. Well, why are you seeing their skin colour, Andrew? Why are you seeing their race? Well, you framed the entire tournament in racial politics. You framed everything in terms of black and white. And now black or mixed race players stepped up and they all missed their penalties, and everyone saw it straight away and everyone flinched a little bit. Oh.
And it was a joke as well. That's one thing that often gets missed.
Do you know?
If you just stood up on your soapbox.
It gets reported as a comment, but I went out on tour when I was allowed to after that. And every single night, that joke, the biggest reaction in the room, biggest laugh. It was funny. What do you want from me? I'm doing my job. That's my job, is to be as funny as I possibly can be.
I've had 45 years of people thinking I'm a weird antisocial prick, and I've become quite accustomed to that. Not only have I become accustomed to it, I've turned it into a fucking career.
Am I right in remembering that it was something like 30 or 40 tour dates just disappear overnight as a consequence of this? Your agent drops you as well, and this is within an incredibly short space of time. So we're talking about 30 or 40, you will correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Different venues 30, across the country.
About 30 tour dates, so they were cancelled, and the agent I had at the time, I think one of his highest profile client, the client he was making his money off really, came to him and said, if you don't drop Andrew Lawrence, I'm going to leave your agency. He's got a business, he's got bills to pay, so he did what he had to do.
When it happens, this sort of effort to destroy your livelihood, so you can't say these things anymore that people imagine you're saying for kind of nefarious reasons. Think, oh, we'll destroy his livelihood, then that'll shut him up. But it doesn't work, because if you have ability, then you find a way.
My mum's worried about me. She says, all this stuff you post online, Andrew, I'm worried about you getting in trouble with the police. Can't you spend your time on something that's less likely to get you arrested, like shoplifting?
Just this morning, I was walking home, I was walking down the street, and I saw a big police van pull up just across the road from my house. I thought, oh, is this it? Have they come for me? Oh God, that thing I said last week in that video. Oh, I don't know if I should have done that.
I saw a police advert the other day. I don't know if you've seen this one. There's a poster at a bus stop and an image of a police officer all kitted out in a police uniform, and it said, if you see a crime being committed, don't just stand there and do nothing. That's our job.
We would be remiss if we didn't also talk about another slightly more recent sort of cancellation attempt that was made on you after a horrific sort of van attack, which took place, or car attack, I should say, which took place in Liverpool.
Awful, terrible business. And all I did was I went on social media and I wrote, to be fair, if I was in Liverpool, I'd drive through a crowd of people to get the fuck out of there as well.
The joke isn't, look at all those people who've been injured, that's not funny, of course it's not, but the context isn't the same as the subject matter. A mistake a lot of people seem to make when it comes to comedians, isn't it? Or they pretend to pretend to be confused.
A lot of Liverpool people didn't like this at all because it's just strange, really, because usually they have such a great sense of humour about it.
After the Liverpool tweet, I understand it was the show in Southend that was cancelled, that they, they decided to sort of denounce you.
I've got an audience in Southend. I thought, this will be a good seller. It'll be a good show, and then and then I don't know. After it was booked in, I found this is a crazy golf course. I went to Norway and did a gig in there was a toilet. I had to do a gig in a toilet in Norway. I've done a gig in a hot tub showroom. I've done everywhere.
Your material doesn't align with the values of the Southend crazy golf course.
I would have gone and done it. I'd probably take my daughter, we'd have a little game of crazy golf, and then I'd do the show. We've had a bit of fun, but it's,
The story that keeps repeating itself here is they try and pull you down, and it does have an impact, but at the same time you have been able to build that audience. You have been able to build back. Your first brush with this, before we even had the phrase cancel culture, is there that kind of sense that because of social media, because of the fact that people are fed up with this cancel culture stuff, it's not got the power that maybe it had?
I think the insanity of COVID, the insanity of identity politics, that's all subsided. That's gone away for now. The wheels turned. But there are people around you that it affects, and that's where you start having to tread carefully, and that's how it can really get you. A Sun journalist, I don't know how they got the address, but they turned up on my mum's doorstep and knocked on her door, asked if they can talk to my dad. And my dad had died 3 weeks or 4 weeks previously. That's where it gets you.
We caught up with Andrew again in East London, where he was headlining a free speech comedy night.
We're here tonight for Comedy Unleashed, which is a free speech comedy night. It's been going for a good few years now. Do you think you would have needed a night like this when you first started 20 years ago?
No, it would have been an irrelevance, completely, For a comedy gig that markets itself as a free speech comedy gig where comedians are free to tell any kind of joke. When I started, you would assume that's every gig. That's every gig. It's because it's a comedy gig. Everyone knows the contract is, as a comedian audience, you're not supposed to take anything seriously that you're hearing. But the fact that this gig exists and it sells out every month, not just here, but different venues around the country, is kind of shows there's something going on.
Yeah.
Two-tier justice. If you're a white bloke, you gotta go to court, you're fucked, aren't you? I had to go to court for speeding. I thought they were going to take my licence off me. And I got there, I told the judge I was trans. Not only did he let me off, on the way out, he gave me 50 quid towards a tit job. That's good, isn't it?
Do you think there is a bit of a worry that the audience starts to kind of split in half and then you end up with kind of woke comedy and anti-woke comedy?
Yeah, certainly, yeah, definitely. And audiences are very polarised. It's only one of those category of comedians that are welcome in what you might call the mainstream. It's a bit of a closed shop and a closed-minded attitude that exists. The sort of traditional venues, the art centres and the theatres across the country, whereby they'll only book a certain sort of act with a certain set of views.
There's a lot of comedians who do the sort of material that's not really welcomed by the wider comedy circuit anymore, and Comedy Unleashed always supports those comics, and it's a wonderful thing.
What is it that still makes you want to get up on stage? What is it that buzz that you first found when you started out that that keeps you doing it, I guess?
I like coming up with new stuff, new material. I come up with something funny. I think, yeah, I like to try that in front of an audience and see what the reaction is. And it's that simple, really. I mean, it's nothing more than that. So as long as I enjoy that, I'll keep doing it regardless of the pushback. If people enjoy it and there's an audience for it, then I'm there and I'm doing it.
Comedy Unleashed, thank you very much. I'll see you all again.